This story is not black and white. Siad Barre. Somalia officially became independent in 1960 after British Somaliland and Italian Somaliland joined together to form one country. And at first, there was a lot of hope. Somalis shared the same language, the same religion. They had a very strong sense of identity. Compared to many African countries created by colonial borders, Somalia looked unusually united. But the new government struggled. Corruption allegations started growing, political tension grew too, people were becoming frustrated. Then in 1969, Somalia's president Abdurrashid Ali Shemarke was assassinated by one of his own bodyguards. Just days later, the military stepped in, and the man leading the takeover was Major General Siad Barre. Barre presented himself as a different kind of African leader. He spoke about unity, discipline, nationalism, socialism. He wanted people to put Somalia first before clan identity. And to be fair, some of his early policies were genuinely popular. One of the biggest was literacy. At the time, a lot of people could speak Somali, but reading and writing it in a standardized way wasn't common yet. So Barre's government launched a huge literacy campaign across the country. Teachers, students, even soldiers were sent into rural communities to teach people how to read and write Somali using the Latin alphabet. For many people, this felt like real progress. Roads were being built. The military was getting much stronger. Barre's government also took control of major industries, banks, parts of the economy. This was part of his socialist policy. But while Somalia was becoming more disciplined, it was also becoming more controlled. Opposition voices were being silenced. Over time, Somalia became less of a democracy and more of a one-party state built around Barre himself. He also became very close to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. At the time, Africa was like a chessboard between Soviet Union and the United States. Both sides wanted influence, allies, military partnerships. And for a while, Somalia was one of the Soviet Union's closest allies in Africa. The Soviets sent weapons, military equipment, advisors, support into the country. Somalia's army became so much more powerful than many others in the region. And honestly, to many people, Barre looked like the leader who was putting Somalia on the map. But the more power he gained, the less criticism he tolerated. People who spoke against the government were being arrested constantly. Some disappeared into prison, some just disappeared. Fear slowly started becoming part of everyday life. Barre also pushed something that he called scientific socialism, where Somalis were encouraged to focus less on clan identity and more on being one nation. But over time, critics started accusing the government of saying one thing publicly, then quietly favoring other clans behind the scenes. Then Barre decided to invade Ethiopia. Now, to understand this part, you need to know that there were ethnic Somalis living across the border in Ethiopia, especially in an area called Ogaden. For years, many Somali nationalists believed that these territories should one day become part of Somalia. The dream was sometimes called Greater Somalia. So in 1977, Barre made his move. Somalia invaded Ethiopia. At first, it looked like he might win. Somali forces pushed deep into Ogaden and captured large areas of territory. Morale was high, national pride was high. To many Somalis, this looked like a historic moment. But then Cold War politics stepped in. The Soviet Union suddenly switched sides. Instead of backing Somalia, the Soviets decided to support Ethiopia instead. And they didn't come alone. Cuba also sent thousands of troops to help Ethiopia. Suddenly, Somalia was facing a much bigger force than they expected, and the war started collapsing. Somali troops were pushed back. Thousands of soldiers, civilians died. Refugees flooded into Somalia, and the economy suffered badly. After the defeat, something changed in Barre. That confidence that he had, it suddenly started turning into paranoia. After the Ogaden War, Somalia became so much more unstable. People were angry. Armed opposition groups started rising against Barre's government all over the country. This was also when more people started accusing him of favoring certain clans, despite all the earlier talk about unity and nationalism. The government became harsher too. People accused of supporting opposition groups were arrested constantly. It was like normal life. They were tortured, they were killed. Then things got worse in the north. A rebel group called the Somali National Movement, SNM, they started fighting against the government. Most of its support came from the Isaac clan. Barre's response was devastating. entire areas were bombed. Huge number of civilians were killed or forced to flee. One of the cities that was hit the hardest was Hargeisa. Now, if that sounds familiar on my page, it's because I spoke briefly about it in my episode about the butcher of Hargeisa. I'll link it below if you want to watch it. By the late 1980s, Somalia was falling apart. More rebel groups were rising, fighting was spreading. The government was losing its control. Eventually, even Mogadishu wasn't safe anymore. In 1986, Barre also he got badly injured in a car crash, and rumors about his health and leadership started spreading. By 1991, Siad Barre fled the capital. After more than 20 years in power, his government was over. But Somalia's problems did not end. After Barre fell, different armed groups started fighting each other for power. The country descended into chaos, civil war, warlords, famine, violence, millions of people displaced. For many people around the world, this became the Somalia that they knew, and that's part of why people still argue so much about Siad Barre today. Because some Somalis look at everything that happened after him and they say, at least the country was stable under Barre, while others believe that his government helped lead Somalia toward collapse. Siad Barre died in exile in Nigeria in 1995, and even after his death, returning his body to Somalia was handled very quietly because of how politically sensitive his legacy still was. So, was he the man who modernized Somalia, or was he the man who led it towards its collapse? Like I said from the beginning, this story is not black and white. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, please don't forget to follow me on all my social media. I tell these stories all the time. I am also now on Apple Podcasts if you'd like to listen to me over there. Thank you so much.